Right? Chef Smith, can you hear me? It's not about hunting. It's about our God-given rights to self-defense. Right?
And here we are in the state of Vermont, where since Brady has been enacted, there have been 327,000 firearms purchased. That's just since Brady's done till the end of last year. With all those firearms and all the millions of firearms that have existed in this state since its enactment, we have been continually the least firearm murder rate in the nation, and we've been that for as long as they've been keeping records of it. For some reason, Vermont has always been a peaceful place. Even back in the days of the Revolutionary War, we didn't fire a whole bunch of shots. We just kind of took a little boat ride over to the state of New York and took Ticonderoga without a shot being fired. This is our history. This is the way we have been and we always will be. But there are elements from New York now that want to get even. Do you know who I'm talking about? You got it. Michael Bloomberg was probably going to wind up spending millions of dollars in this state to get his egotistical way. At the same time, the people of Vermont, and most of us are gun owners in this state, will not put up with it. We have led peaceful lives, we have had high gun ownership, and we're decent and honest people. He doesn't understand this kind of thing. According to him, we're all murderers, muggers, and thieves.
Article 16, which says the people have a right to bear arms for the defense of themselves and the state. It's perfectly obvious to the men who convened at Windsor that an armed freeman was the only guarantee of a free republic. And ultimately, the success of a free society depends upon a well-informed and motivated and armed citizenry who at some point will rise and say, you cannot take away the rights that were declared ours by our Constitution.
The Vermont I grew up in is still here. People are trying to tell us that we've changed, that our ways, our traditions, our laws are no longer current. I disagree. We've always accepted new people, new cultures, new ideas. We've brought those people in, welcomed them as residents of Vermont. We've accepted their ways. Now, some of those people are trying to change our ways. They came here for a quality of life. They liked what we had to offer. Now, people are trying to change that. And we can't let that happen.
We are not interested in giving up our independence for the safety that is promised to us. By 1994, the newly formed nation of Ukraine gave up their nuclear arms and the right to protect themselves and their fellow citizens in exchange for promises of safety. And here we are, a good 20 years later, and like many political promises, they are found to be broken. At the time those promises were made, I'm willing to believe that they were 100% intended to be kept. But the problem is that 20 years later, we have to rely on people who didn't make the promises to keep them. And we see what that has been worth. And so now Russian troops are occupying parts of the Crimea to protect ethnic Russians, not Ukrainians. And when the Ukrainians call Russia to remind them of this little arrangement that they had, do you think they're going to be able to ask for their arms back? Despite the fact that Russia made a promise and broke it, you know what the Russian response will be? Oh, Crimea River. So when gun control advocates make these promises of safety, promises of peace, promises that we can trust them, I'm willing to believe that some of them might be sincere. But that's not the issue. The problem lies in the fact that at some point, maybe 20 years, maybe 30 years, maybe more, the people charged with keeping the promises who didn't make them will break them. And in the meantime, we have given away our rights for empty, broken promises, and we will be unable to get them back.
Fundamental rights. I've heard that a lot, but it deserves emphasis. What could be more fundamental than the right to keep and bear arms? The right to defend oneself against acts of aggression from wherever they might be coming. It's as basic as the right to life itself. We should not even be in a situation where this right is up for debate. The government can attempt to use force to temporarily prevent us from exercising our liberties, but we don't get our liberties from the government. Our liberties are innate, inherent, inalienable, and there's no law and no government that can change that. Does anyone honestly think that if these measures or any measures pass, that the anti-gun forces are going to declare mission accomplished and go home? No. Certainly not.